What's up, my friends? I'm glad to connect with you today. Oh my goodness, it's been a while, huh? So, today, what I want to talk about is if you've ever had this moment like me where you are talking with somebody or experiencing life with somebody and you feel like, oh my gosh, I think we are living in different dimensions because your experience of the world is so different than my experience of the world. Usually, those of you who are watching this, you probably are living on the more positive side of things and you're just like, seriously? Like, that's how you see everything? Or maybe you're one of those people who you like see a lot of the reality of what's going on and somebody's like got their head in the clouds and you're like, really? You're like missing out on everything. Like, usually that's, those people are experiencing a lot of privilege and they haven't yet had an opportunity to check their privilege. But today, what I want to talk about is this experience that, hey, Omar, great to see you. This experience that's like, man, I think we're living in different realms because we are experiencing the world totally different. I am super stoked to connect with you about this because it's something that I experience quite often and a lot of my clients do too. So I have a feeling it's going to touch you right here in your inner eye. This is straight from the eye of Sky, and I am really honored to be Sky. So this idea of interacting with somebody and suddenly you're like, wow, I'm recognizing that this person sees the world in a completely different way. So for example, maybe you love somebody. Maybe you are expressing love by trying to help them, or you tell them that they've done something great, and they turn right back around and they say, and now you hate me, da da da. You're like, wait, what? Like, how did that happen? Like, I literally just did the exact opposite thing. Well, if that's happened to you, there's a couple of things that could be at play here. One of them could be that their old trauma has literally created like a callus over them, or maybe over their heart, where they're not able to actually receive love because they learned long ago, whether it be a past life or at a very young age, that it's not safe to receive love, and so they just block it out and they have no receptors for it. They have no USB port for love. And so when you plug in your USB port for love, they're like, does not detect, is not happening, and they literally process this event as being the exact opposite. I know that sounds really weird, and I know that when we're those people who are trying to love, oh my goodness, it can be so heartbreaking because like we just give so freely, and all the greatest thing you ever learn is just to love and be loved in return, and that also includes loving and have it be accepted, because sometimes we get stuck on it being accepted. We're like, well, my identity is all wrapped around how much I'm able to love you, and you're literally right now discounting all of the love that I'm giving you. But the truth is, we need to take ourselves out of the equation and not take it personally. That's a Don Miguel Ruiz thing. I know a lot of you have probably read, the Four Agreements. It's about not taking things personally. I have a lot of practice in taking things personally. Let me just be the first one to raise my hand and say, yup, that's me. But I'm really working on recognizing that, maybe people just have their own stuff going on. Maybe they have their own trauma that blocks them from being able to receive love. Or maybe they're living in different frequencies. You've ever heard people talk about like raise your vibes? Raise your vibes means, hey, raise your vibes and live on this frequency, vibrations being a frequency. And if somebody is living down here, or they're used to living down here, or they're in they were up here, everything was great, and then suddenly something happened, and now they're down here, and then they come back up again. Well, when they're down here and we say raise your vibes, it's like, meet me up here. I want to talk to your highest self. I want to talk to you, where we can both be productive, where we can both live in the light, where we can both live in the truth, and we can create beautiful things in this world. And sometimes when we're talking to somebody and where our vibration is, ours is here, our vibration, and their vibration is here, it's not that we're above them, although frequency wise, if we were going to be on a scale of vibrations, it would be technically like higher, but it doesn't mean that we are above them like a higher status. It just means literally the vibration is higher. Like pitches, like a middle C is no more important than a C 2 octaves up. They're both really important, but they are different frequencies. So when we say raise your vibes, maybe this person's vibration is down here. So when you're talking to them and you're coming from up here, they can't actually process what's up here. It's like humans can't hear all of the frequencies that like whales make, for example. So, if whales have these really high pitched frequencies and we can't hear them, they could be talking and we can't understand. It's the same thing when we're talking to somebody who's got a lower frequency. When they've got that lower frequency and we're trying to connect with them, they can be like, you never said that. That never happened. You said the exact opposite. And we're like, hold the bus, that didn't just happen. I actually said all of these things, but they can't understand it, just like we can't understand those high frequencies that whales make. I know that's kind of a silly explanation. You could think of it also like TV, okay? So you're changing channels. So it's like, maybe you were both on channel 7 and you're on the phone, you're like watching channel 7 together. Those of you who don't watch TV, this might be weird. Maybe you're watching a live stream of something. But so you're both watching the same channel and then their channel changes, but they don't notice that their channel changed. Now they're on channel 5. And you're still talking to them about channel 7. And then they start talking about, that's not happening. That didn't happen. This isn't true. And you're just like, whoa, what reality are you living in? The reality they're living in is channel 5. They just didn't know that their TV changed channels. So when we're talking to them about channel 7, we thought they were also on channel 7, but their TV has now changed to a lower vibration, to channel 5. That's when they come back and tell you, you didn't say this, you hurt me, or, oh, I don't know, that didn't happen, or you said the exact opposite, and we're like, what? Okay? So it's just one of those things for us to not take it personally and recognize that maybe it's not that we did anything wrong. Maybe it's not that we have to apologize for being who we are. Maybe it's not that we care too much. Maybe it's that they're human. They're a spiritual being in having a human experience, and part of their humanity has changed their channel to channel 5 temporarily. And it's not our job to bring them back up to 7. It's not our job to tell them, hey, you're on channel 5 now. It's not our job to do any of that. Although they might freak out and be rude, or they might be scared, or they might be anxious, or they might be fearful. All of these, things can come to play for them, and they might blame us for it because they don't know what's going on. But, a couple years down the road and they look back, they're like, oh, I get it now. You were actually a really awesome friend. I changed to channel 5 and I didn't know it, but you saw it, didn't you? Yes, I did. Oh my gosh. Well, thanks for still caring about me even though I changed to channel 5. Sorry I made that so difficult. That can actually happen. So all of this to say, if you feel like you're living in an alternate dimension to somebody, like, whoa, my reality is completely different than yours, maybe, just maybe, it has nothing to do with you. Maybe it's good for us to take a look at, do I have any responsibility in this? Did I actually do what they are accusing me of doing? All of these things. And once we take a true inventory and we're like, yeah, okay, I checked myself really thoroughly and I was very kind, I was very intentional, I was very conscious, and I think this person's just having a rough time. Maybe their channel has changed to channel 5, and I'm going to allow them the space to discover that they're on channel 5 on their own so they can bring it back up to channel 7. And that's really all it is. So maybe we don't need to get down on ourselves so much, and maybe we don't need to attack them for being wrong. But if we take a look back and we see the big picture, of like, oh, no wonder they're not understanding me right now. No wonder they're accusing me of doing all these things. They're not actually watching me on channel 7 anymore. They're watching channel 5. And maybe they go back and forth. So they're like, well, this happened, but this happened, and that happened, and then they say this thing, but they don't remember. It's because they're changing channels back and forth, my friends. And that happens in the human experience. And the more we practice being conscious, the more we meditate to be strong in our minds, the more that we take deliberate control, or we're deliberately intentional about what we feed our minds, whether it be the words that we use or the thoughts that we think, the more we're going to keep our vibes up here in like whale speak, okay? And it's just when we start to get like tired, or we start to get hungry, or our immediate needs aren't met, that's when there's like this room for all this weird stuff to happen where the channels start changing and going lower and lower. So just be mindful of yourself, be mindful of other people, and maybe you don't need to beat yourself up as much as you have been. I hope that you have a beautiful rest of the day. I really am grateful that you have shared this time for me. Thank you, Omar, Jess, Julian, for joining me live here on Instagram. This video will live permanently on my IGTV, on my Instagram profile, and on my Facebook profile. So just remember, it's not always your fault. Sometimes it is, and sometimes you need to take responsibility. But those of us who are really good at taking responsibility for everybody else's problems and blaming ourselves so that they can feel better, sometimes we need to take a second look and realize, you know what? They're just having a channel-changing moment right now. And that's okay. We're going to allow them to do that. And we're going to move on with our lives, hold the space for them, allow them to grow through whatever life lesson they're going through, and then we'll meet them back at Channel 7 later. That's all it's about. And that's shining your light. That's living in the truth. Because in situations like that, where you've actually been really intentional and kind and conscious and staying on Channel 7 the whole time, The living in the truth is important because that's where you shine your light. If that's the truth, stand in it. Don't beat yourself up or make up a false truth for them to feel better, because that never feels good inside. Okay? Be true to yourself. Be true to the light. Be true to what feels right to you. Thanks for joining me. Remember to shine your light. There's never been a better time on this planet to be a brilliant light warrior. We will talk again soon, and I'll see you later.